Hey gang, my name is Janet Callahan. My circle name is Lady Arianrhod Callie. I haven't used my circle name publicly in a long, long time, so it's a little hard for me to get used to actually using it, but I've really wanted to use it for this project in particular. For those of you who know me, or don't know me, I should say, I am a published author. I wrote a book called Parenting Pagan Tots. I write a column for Sage Woman as the mother columnist every month or every issue. I have been in several other anthologies, pagan anthologies. I used to run a Spiral Scouts group. I am the mom of two adorable children. It's a good thing they're adorable. It helps them out a lot in their lives. Alex is 10 and Bethany is 7. I actually used to write a blog, and occasionally still do write there, called OurLittleAcorn.com, which was all about our early life with Alex and all of his medical challenges, and how every once in a while being pagan made that really sort of complicated. Or maybe it was complicated and being pagan was just another complication. Anyway, I wanted to tell you a little bit about what my goal is with Lady Arianrhod's School for Pagan Parents. I feel like there's always a ton of questions out there, and people are always like, well, what do I do? How do I start? What about this? What about that? And I feel like at this point, I have a lot of things to say about that, but I don't really feel like writing. Writing is just not where I'm at right now. So my intention is to do a video like this maybe every week, maybe every couple of weeks. We'll just see how it goes. I would like to start talking to some people and get some guests in here to interview for you. I would like to do some reviews about pagan parenting books and pagan kids books. And talk about all of the little things that go into pagan parenting, which is in a lot of respects a lot like regular parenting, but not always the same in some really specific ways. A lot of times when I ask people what they think pagan parenting is, I get a lot of things about how they eat or how they work with nature or how they discipline their children or what they name their children or what music they listen to. And I'm not sure that's always like that's part of being pagan for them, but that's not part of being pagan for everyone. And so I want to talk about those kinds of things. For those who know my kids, you know that we have 2 children with special needs. Both of my children are on the autism spectrum. Both of them have cerebral palsy. So our life is not like everybody else's life. And my kids don't quite work the way everybody else's kids work, or at least most people's kids. And so some of that comes into play too. So as we go through and talk about things, that's going to obviously color my interpretation of it and how I speak to it. But I always hope to find a way to reach in there and find the common bits that we share and talk about how we can make this journey work for all of us. So I am on... I have another Facebook page, Janet Callahan Priestess Writer, and I have a website, janetcallahan.com, and I also have an energy work business called Good Vibrations Energy Studio. So you can check out all of those places online, or you can just hang out here because the important things that I want you to hear about pagan parenting, I'm going to put here. We are a family circle, a family coven. We do not practice with I don't practice with other groups anymore. It just doesn't work for us. So the practice we do is within our home as a family. We have a sort of an odd eclectic background, which I think is true of a lot of pagan parents. I've studied and been ordained as a priestess in an all-women's group. I have studied under a more British traditional Wiccan offshoot group. And I've read a ton of things on my own over the last, 20-something years now. So that is sort of the background that I'm coming from. in terms of the pagan stuff. And we are mostly a gentle discipline, attachment parenting type household. We're not perfect at it, but that's where we are. So if that's not where you are, this may or may not be the right place for you to ask questions. Some of my answers are always going to come back to those sorts of things. That's how we work at our house. What else? We are pretty public about who we are. We don't hide things. We don't make a big secret out of it. We just are who we are. We have the huge privilege of living in a very diverse suburb in a pretty diverse metro area. So it's not an issue at school. It's not an issue in public. It's not even an issue at work. I work at a big 3 auto company and nobody bats an eye. My husband works at a little bitty biotech place and nobody bats an eye there either. So from that perspective, we've lived places where we could not be this open, where we could not have, I could not have published under my legal name. So I think for us, that colors a lot of how we approach things, but we've lived that other life too, so we know about that. Anyway, that is where I'm hoping to go on this journey. And I hope that if you run across this group and have questions, that you will ask. Oh, I know, I forgot. Because my kids have disabilities, the sort of typical scouting and youth groups don't really work very well for us either, because group activities don't work really well for us right now. So we are doing our own sort of DIY scouting / youth group, church youth group, called Sprites and Sparks. I will put links to all of that in the Facebook group. And we would be happy to have you follow along and see the kinds of things we're doing as we're sort of DIYing the scouting experience for 2 sort of atypical kids. I kind of wish it wasn't quite that way, but we've reached the point where it's like, well, if I'm going to have to do it all myself, there's no sense in me paying somebody a registration fee for that. I've been a scout leader before. I can do that myself. And since we are a sort of the pagan version of a home church, we just have a home youth group. That's just how it is. So anyway, I think now that's everything I was supposed to say in this little introduction. And I hope that you will stop by and see what else I have to say and what other fun things we do. Thanks so much.